Alright, let's kick off nice and quickly, shall we? I think I've got quite a nice list this week on our sales series. This is the winner from last week. Your comment was delightful. If you would like to win a free game each and every week, just leave your comments down below. Our website is back up and running. For how long, I don't know, but you can save 5% on your eShop credit. You don't need to use any codes. You get 5% in cash back to use on your next purchase. That's over at switchup.gg. Alright, what are the best games on sale? Well, my name's Mark Walker. Welcome back to SwitchUp. Now let's find out. Alright, first we've got the new open world adventure Tchia, which is down 30% to its cheapest price already. That's £18.89 or your regional equivalent. Now, I've got a full review of this on the channel. It's a decent game. It is not amazing. It makes a couple of missteps. Now, the plus, you can basically transform into any of the animals that you find in the world. So if you find a pigeon, you can transform into it, fly around, and you can even poop on people's heads. Someone's instantly gone to the purchase screen. That's enough for them. But you'll use that mechanic to quickly traverse this quite massive island. What it also does really well is feature a load of story. So you've got a ukulele and it ties the story to the music. So you might need to use that a bit like a Zelda game to change the time of day. But also it's just jamming. You'll just be chilling around a campfire playing music. And in those times, I absolutely loved it. I think they're called soul melodies or something like that. Now with that soul jumping mechanic as well, I think there are 30 different animals that you can jump into. So yeah, it is a very cool idea. And then on top of that, you've got a sailing mechanic that's a little more hands-on than you might expect. You have to raise and lower the sails, drop the anchor when you need to, and that'll be your secondary way of getting around. A decent game, but in my review I said it as well, I'd be waiting for a sale, and this is a nice chunky 30% sale until August the 28th. This episode was sponsored by the delightful looking new action puzzle game that's coming from a small indie Spanish team and being published by Dear Villagers. It was inspired by the legends related to the Canary Islands, and it depicts the story of a group of explorers sent by the Spanish kingdom to find the legendary St. Brendan's Island. As a protagonist, you'll soon understand that this island, said to be paradise on earth, might actually hide much darker secrets. Now, it describes itself as a rich puzzle game that draws inspirations from the legend of St. Brendan. As you search for your companions, you're going through ancient gods' temples, which hide their own secrets. Equipped with a torch, you have to utilize the power of fire, lights, and lasers to navigate through these places and solve their enigmas. Each of those temples also has two distinct modes. You've got the real world and the plane of madness. You'll need to explore both of those to finally reach the truth. We will have a dedicated video of this one as well, and there will be a demo available. It launches at £13.49 or your regional equivalent on the 13th. A thanks to the publisher for sponsoring this episode. Now, one of my favourite old school RPGs is Risen. If you're a physical collector and you have a game shop that still sells physical games, you can get it for 12 quid in store, I believe. Online, you have to pay their extortionate shipping costs. So, I mean, if you're going to get it online, just make sure you buy a few bits. But on the eShop, it's 35% off, down to £16.24, and it's very much an old school, massive RPG. Your actions have consequences. Some of the time, let's be honest, that's not always the case. You can use a sword or magic. Yes, it is a bit janky. Sure, you will be fighting rats. I mean, it wouldn't be an RPG if you couldn't, but it centers around a powerful group called the Inquisitors, and you start out shipwrecked on an island with no Wilson in sight, and you'll run into a cave and quickly realize that it's quite tricky at first until you really get to grips with, I think, the whole package. You know, it's that whole dated but still very fun once you get back into it RPG package. Similar to games like Gothic and Gothic 2, which are also on Switch. The sale for that one, it goes on until August the 14th. Front Mission 2 Remake, I much preferred to the first remake that we had on Switch. This is also the deepest discount we've had so far, down 33% to 21 quid. It's set about 12 years after the events of the first game. You don't need to have played that, honestly. These are tactical games. You've got 3 different characters, Ash, Lisa and Thomas, and you switch between the 3 of them. But if you enjoy mech combat, it does that side very well indeed. The levels have a good variety to them. The story is so-so, but they made a few visual changes since it came out, and it's massive, about 40 hours long. The first game is on sale if you're someone that would rather grab the first one first. It's not bad, but I just preferred this one. The sale goes on until August the 26th. If you're not completely saturated by action-adventure, Metroidvania style games, then consider Aeterna Noctis. That's by far the cheapest it's been. been at 70% off, down to about £7. It's got a massive non-linear story, loads of side quests, there's voice acting in here as well. I have only done an hour and 24 minutes of this, so I can only give you my initial impressions, and I can see why it didn't score up in the 80s, but for me it feels about, you know, like a high 60s, early 70s type of Metroidvania, which is the perfect pickup at £7 rather than its slightly over expensive default price. I'm enjoying it, and there are some good boss fights from what I've seen so far. It is a huge game again though, with a runtime of around 35 hours, and the sale for this one, that goes on until September the 5th, so you've got a nice chunk of time. Now, I really enjoyed the game Black Legend when it came out, but it was a broken mess. This was all the way back in 2021, and it was actually this game and, what was it called? Rime. Do you remember Rime? It was this game and Rime that triggered the all patched up series. Well, actually, tell a lie. This game, Rime, and a game called Pine. I'm not making this up. Like, these are legitimately the names. But those are the ones that triggered me going back and revisiting it, because I could tell this was good. It had this like Victorian London setting, I think in the 17th century, and it's not actually London, it was called something like Mephisto or something like that. And basically the whole city is covered in this fog that's been conjured by an evil alchemist. But I love the class system. There are 15 different classes here that all have completely unique abilities. You move around the city, and then when combat instances or conversation comes up, it will then switch into that different, almost game style. I mean, there's been a few games that have done something similar. In fact, Divinity is a little similar in that regard, but it's good fun. Yeah, not too difficult as well, which is nice. And it had a ton of patches after launch. You might still get the very occasional crash, so you kind of need to know that if you're going in considering this one. But it's just £7.74, and they already dropped the base price of the game by about 50%. So compared to when it first came out, this is like a quarter of the price. It's got a download size of 8.3 gigs, and the sale for Black Legend goes on until August the 15th. Okay, now I added this one to the list the other day because we've been playing a few shmups recently, but there's some weirdness going on with the eShop at the moment, so whether or not it actually shows up for you is another story. Now it's 50% off. It's called, that name at the top of the screen, which I am never going to be able to say. Mushihime-sama. Yeah, that sounds about right, doesn't it? If you're trying to say it as well, congratulations. But it offers 1 or 2 player. It's very bright and colourful. It does also have a training mode, which is quite cool, to try and get your Jedi reflexes up. But yeah, as I say, we've started to finally get into some shmups. I know a lot of you have commented over the years how shmups never get a mention on this channel, but hopefully you'll start to see a lot more. I just hope you're able to actually access this game, because yeah, as I say, it seems to have just disappeared off my eShop. Now, a lot of you will know that it has been Quakecon this last week, and in case you missed it, they actually released or re-released Doom and Doom 2 as a bundle pack, that if you already own the classics on Switch, you can download this new pack that runs in the Kex engine and obviously has collaboration from Night Dive Studios. There's like 140 different missions in this version. It has all of the bells and whistles that Night Dive have added to some of the other releases like Quake, which is the sale we're going to talk about in a second. And as I say, you can download that completely free, and even has a brand new campaign that's never been seen before. So yeah, very cool. The new music as well is pretty damn sweet, and that's completely free of charge. However, they've also got the Quake 1 and 2 bundle at 80% off, taking it down to £4.79, which I think we can all agree is an absolute bargain. These versions have split screen co-op, they run at 60 FPS, and they're still great games, very fun indeed. The sale for that goes on until August the 22nd. My second shmup purchase of the week is Dodonpachi Resurrection. You might remember in a video we did the other day, the Interesting Games, I think it was actually, we spoke about one of these games because we played it together, and yeah, good fun. This one's very enjoyable, just as chaotic as the one that we spoke about there. Again, it does have local 1 or 2 player. There is a storyline here, something about the moon. Honestly, I'm not following the story in a shmup very well. You've got 3 different models to choose from of ship, and then that changes the way not only they move, but also the shot types that you have available. They're things like a power style and a strong style, and it has a difficulty mode to suit every player. So if, like me, you struggle a little bit and go cross-eyed when there's that many bullets on the screen, Dodonpachi has you covered. The sale for that is 50% off until August the 28th. Brotato doesn't get the credit it deserves, in my opinion. You've got the likes of Vampire Survivors that everyone loves, but Brotato is a quality game. It's all about the different weapons that you choose, and basically between each arena, where you battle as many enemies as you can until you reach the end of that stage, there's like a set quantity or time, I can't remember which it is. You basically can purchase different weapons, or you can take two of the same weapon, combine them and upgrade it that way. What's cool is you're holding like 6 different weapons in your hand. I'm sure it's 6, or is it 4? I can't remember, but it means that you can really min-max and create unique builds. Little top tip for you, if you want to win your first run, just buy SMGs and just pay for speed upgrades. So just keep leveling them up, leveling them up. As many SMGs as you can get in your hand, and it is like super easy. What's cool with Brotato is that there are so many different classes which affect the types of weapons and the way they use them. It's even got melee in there as well, and unlike Vampire Survivors, you can manually control the shooting if you want, but I've got to be honest, you won't be after a few hours. It's just, yeah, it's just more fun not to. The sale for Brotato goes on until August the 18th. That's the cheapest it's ever been. Another genre that some people are sick of, but I absolutely love, is the roguelike genre, and Trinity Fusion is a good example of that. It's like an action platformer where the levels have some procedural generation to them, but the movement is very good, as is the combat, and there are 3 different characters as well as universes to explore, and it's one of those that makes it feel like even when you're losing, you're winning. You know what I mean? The meta progression makes you feel like you're getting more powerful, you're getting stronger, you're learning something, and there is a demo of this one, so go check out the demo if you're not sure. But it's down to £13.49. That's a massive sale actually compared to some games, seeing as this has only just come out. Obviously the cheapest it's ever been, and that goes on until September the 5th. That then takes us on to our Savaloy Selection. These are very cheap games, the price you would normally pay for your local guilty pleasure delicacy, like a Savaloy, or a Fetcook, or one of those Costco hot dogs you're always banging on about. Now the first is Blade of Darkness, aka Severance, a classic action hack and slash game from back in the day with 3 different characters. I love this, you cut limbs off and stuff, like it's pretty brutal, but great game. 82% off at just £2.48, yes please. Rush Rally 3, I'm channeling my Colin McRae vibes from back in the PS1 days, and that's 73% off at the moment to just $3.99. Game Deck is a very fun hybrid between an adventure game and an RPG, where you're a detective going into people's virtual reality worlds. That's 90% off, again down to $2.99. Atone, Heart of the Elder Tree, a bit of a hidden gem in my opinion, this one. It combines a few different gameplay styles. Sadly, it's not on sale in the UK regions, but in the US you can get it for $1.99. That's 87% off, and it's a real mashup of like fighting, RPG, action game, and there's a puzzle element to that. And finally then, we've got Doom 3. I have to end on Doom because obviously, well, it was Quakecon, wasn't it? That's 60% off, down to £3.19. Underrated Doom, in my opinion. Much more, slow pace, has a horror feel to it. Very good game indeed. The sale for that one goes on until August 22nd. So that's it for this week. Let me know in the comments what you'll be picking up, if anything. As I said, if you're going to buy any of these games, you might as well save yourself 5% on your eShop credit. Just buy it over at SwitchUp.gg. Links are in the description, and we get a tiny little kickback from Nintendo. So yeah, that'd be great. Thanks so much to our Patreons, our members, all of you that enjoy the content. And as always, for all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers, guys. See ya!